Welcome back, fellow coders, to another exciting episode of our coding tutorial series. I'm your host NJ. Today we are going to dive into the world of toast messages and explore how can we enhance user experience by incorporating toast messages. Picture this. You are working on a web application and you want to notify your users about important events or updates without being intrusive. That's where toast messages come to the rescue. Toast messages are those small, unobtrusive pop-up messages that gracefully appear on the screen, delivering brief information or notifications and then fade away or disappear automatically. But we won't stop there. We will take it a step further by leveraging offline and online connectivity to create dynamic toast messages. Imagine this. When a user goes offline, a toast message will appear informing the user that you have lost the connectivity. Since this message has a negative connotation, so we will present it in an appropriate color to catch the user's attention. Then when they are back online, another toast message will appear informing the user that the connection has been established again. Since this message has a positive connotation, so we will most probably present this toast message in a color which is associated with the success. Throughout this tutorial, I'll walk you through the process of creating these engaging toast messages from scratch. We will use JavaScript to detect the user's online-offline status and trigger the toast messages accordingly. By the end of this tutorial, you will have a solid understanding of how to implement toast messages in your projects and take user experience to next level. So grab your favorite coding tools and get ready for an exciting journey. Now I'm not going to bore you guys with the basic HTML and styling. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to keep this text, which is just to fill this page, something to display. The only part which is associated with the toast messages, it's styling and dynamically making it appear and disappear. Only those parts I'm going to remove from this file, and then we will start from there. So first let me remove all of those parts and then we'll continue. Okay, after removing all the aspects associated with the toast messaging, this is how it currently looks. It's basically a simple HTML file. Let's start from here. So we have in style, which starts here, and some styling for the body, then h1, that's it. And then we have our HTML body starts, which has some h1 elements, some divs, h2s, that's it. We don't have anything else. We don't have any JavaScript attached over here. But in the browser, it still looks the same because the toast messages appear when we go online or offline. So now we are ready to start our journey to define those toast messages. To define a toast messages, the first thing that we need to do is that we have some kind of a place in the HTML which is eventually going to contain the toast messages. So for that, what we are going to do is that at the very end of this HTML code, we are going to define a div, and we are giving it a class name toast container. So now we have this div which is empty and it has a class name toast container. And since this is empty, we don't see any change in the browser on our web page because it's not occupying any space because it doesn't have any contents in it. Now let's put aside styling this div and think about how can we convert this div into a toast message. So since the rest of the logic is going to be defined through JavaScript, so let's create a script tag, and over here we have to define all the logic that will make the toast message appear and disappear. Now since these toast messages can appear multiple times depending on the needs of the project, and each time they will convey different information, that means we have to enclose that logic into a function so that we can call it multiple times. So let's define a function. Let's give it name show toast. Now we are going to pass this function the message that we want it to display as a toast message. Now within the body of this show toast, first of all we need to get a reference to this div because we will be inserting the actual toast into this div. So let's get a reference to it. We are going to get a reference to it through its class name. So toast container. Now the actual toast is going to be another HTML entity. We can use a paragraph or another div. It's up to us. So I'm going to go with another div. So let's create another div which will be the actual toast. Document dot create element. We are creating a div. Now let's give this element a class name. So toast dot class name equals toast. So this will not only create a div, but it will also assign a class name toast. The reason for giving it a class name toast or any class name is that so that we can define some styling for this toast message. And this styling plays a great role, not only how the toast message looks, but also when to make it appear and disappear. Now we have to make this div contain this message as its text. So for that we are going to say toast dot text content equals message that has been passed in as a parameter. Now let's attach this toast div as a child to this toast container div. So toast container dot append child and pass in this toast variable. Now before we define any further logic, let's go to the browser and see what happens if this function show toast is called. So let's open developers tools and in the console, now let's call this message show toast with some message, hello, I am a toast message. Now the moment I hit enter, let's first have a look. So currently this is the end of this page. We don't have this text on our page. Let's execute this function and now you can see the message attached at the very end of this page. So if we call this function show toast, this message will be appended at the very end of this page, but it's going to stay there. So next we have to define this logic that it appears for a certain time and then disappears. And for that we are going to utilize set timeout functions. Okay, so over here we are defining the logic to remove the toast message. So set timeout and as you know, this timeout takes two parameters. The first parameter is the function which will be executed, and that function will contain the actual logic that we want to be executed. The second parameter is the time. So when that certain time has passed, this function will execute. So the first one is function. So currently it's empty, and the second parameter is the time. So after 3000 milliseconds or after 3 seconds, this function will execute. And now within the body of this function, we have to define the logic that we want to execute once those 3 seconds have passed. So basically we want to remove this toast message from this toast container. So we can simply say toast dot remove. Okay, let's go and have a look in the browser. So currently there is no toast message. Let's call the function show toast. This is toast message. Enter. This is toast message and it should disappear. Yes, after 3 seconds it disappeared. So it's working properly. Now the basic bare bone of a toast message and how it appears and disappears we have defined. The only thing left is styling. So what we are going to do is that we are going to first of all start styling this toast container. Since this toast message or the toast div is going to be contained within this toast container, so within this container the only thing that we are going to define is the positioning of this toast container. So wherever this toast container is, the toast message will appear there. Currently it will be appended at the very end of the web page. So the first thing that we are going to do is that we are going to take it out of the normal flow of that the web page, the contents of the web page, and set it position fixed so that it's no longer in the normal flow, and now it could be positioned with respect to the top left corner of the browser window. So toast container, let's set its position to fixed, then top, let's bring it 30 pixels down, and for the left let's bring it 20 pixels left, and for the right let's also bring it 20 pixels from the right. So this way it will cover the whole width of the browser window. Only at the left and right side the 20 pixels space will be left out. Now this is the only styling that we are defining for the toast container. The rest is going to be for the toast itself. Since we have given that div the class name toast, so let's define some styling which will give it a background color and things like that. Let's for the time being give it background color, some background color. Let's give it a shade of gray. Then the text color itself, give it white, give it some padding, so all around 2 rems. Text transform, capitalize, font size, make it larger. Okay, now let's check it out in the browser one more time and see how it has affected. As you can see, there's no toast message over here, and let's first call the function I am a toast message. Now when I hit enter, this toast message should not appear at the very bottom because I have defined styling for this container and set its position to fixed and give it top and left and right property, so it will appear somewhere over here. So let's hit enter. Now it says I am a toast message and it displays only for 3 seconds and then it disappeared. So it's working. Now since it appeared very quickly and disappeared very quickly as well, if we want to make this appearance and disappearance a bit more smoother, we have to define some transitioning properties. So for that, what we are going to do is that, again, let's go to the styling, and to this toast itself, we are going to set its opacity to 0, so it will be invisible. Then we are defining a transition property for the opacity, and let's make this transitioning of slowly and gradually appearing this message and then slowly and gradually disappearing. So the time it should take is 0.3 seconds, and the style of appearing and disappearing should be ease. Okay, so this is the transition. So next we have to define this transition and set its opacity from 0 to 1. So for that we are going to define another class on this toast class. So toast.show, and set the opacity to 1, and that's it. Next we have to go back down to our JavaScript, and over here we basically have to attach another class to this toast. So toast.classlist.add, and the class name is show. But if we do this, if this is how we attach this class method, then what will happen is that we won't be able to see that smooth transitioning, that the window which contains the toast message appears slowly and gradually. Rather, it will be quick because all of this logic will execute at the same time. So we want this toast message to get attached to the parent, that is the toast container, and after some time this show method should get attached so that we can see the transitioning effect. So we have to make sure that this show message appears after a certain interval from this toast div getting attached to the toast container. So for that we have to utilize another set timeout. So set timeout, and again first parameter is a function, and in the body we basically have to cut this part and paste it over here in the body. And the second parameter, so we have to give it some time. So let's make it 10 milliseconds. So first this toast div should get attached to the parent container, that is toast container, and after 10 milliseconds, which is a very minimum time, we won't be able to notice it. So after 10 milliseconds, this class show should get attached to the class list, because the default class name, this toast, has opacity 0. So even though this toast will get attached to the parent container, it won't be visible. Only when we attach this show class, the toast will become visible. But this transition will be smooth because we have put some gap between making this toast div getting attached to the toast container and making it visible. So there is a gap of 10 milliseconds. So basically by using this set timeout, we have put a gap between this toast div getting attached to the parent and making this toast div contain this class show, which will change the opacity from 0 to 1, but that change will take 0.3 seconds to transition from opacity 0 to opacity 1. Now we have to make similar changes when we are removing this toast message. So the first thing that we have to do is that before we remove the toast message, we want to change its opacity from 1 to 0. So that means the first thing that we want to happen is remove this show class from this toast message, and then remove the toast div completely from its parent. So removing the show class will again make this slight transition, and that slight transition will give us a smooth effect rather than quickly making it appear and disappear. So in this set timeout, before we remove this toast div altogether, we are going to call another set timeout within the function which is associated with this first set timeout. So there is going to be a nested timeout within this timeout function. So over here again we want to put some gap between removing this class from the toast and then removing the toast itself. So we are going to make this statement hold a bit further. So the first thing that we have to do is that we have to remove this class list. So toast dot class list dot remove show. So this will again set the opacity property from 1 to 0, but it will take 0.3 seconds to do this transition, and we want to wait exactly that amount of time before we remove the toast completely, because we don't want the toast to be removed while this transition is still taking place. So we have to exactly wait at least 0.3 seconds and then remove the toast div itself. So another set timeout. First parameter is a function, this is body, and we want it to wait exactly 0.3 seconds because that's the amount that we have defined over here for this transition to take. So 0.3 seconds means 300 milliseconds. So this is 300 and this is 3000. So 3000 means 3 seconds and this 300 means 0.3 seconds. So after those 0.3 seconds, we want to remove the toast completely. So let's go and test it out in the browser. Save toast. This is toast message again. Hit enter. It's not set toast, it's show toast. This is a toast message. Hit enter. And it got removed. Okay, now that part is done, we are able to display toast messages for a certain amount of time and then those disappear. Now the next part is associating them with certain events. So far what we have been doing is that we have been manually calling them by executing this show toast message, but we don't want to do that. We want this toast message to be associated with some event such that when that event is triggered, the toast message should appear and disappear on its own without us manually calling this function. So for that we are going to check the online connectivity. So if while we are visiting this page get temporarily disconnected from the network, we should see the message that we are offline, and then when we are again connected back, we should again see the message that we are back online. The first message we want to show in the red because we have been disconnected, and the second one we want to show in green because we have been connected. So let's first fix that logic associated with the color. So for that what we are going to do is that we are going to associate another parameter with the show toast function. Let's make it bg for background and give it some default value which is red. So this way, giving it a default value, this makes this second parameter optional. That means while calling the show toast message, we only have to provide one parameter, one value. If we don't give value for the second one, the default value will be assumed to be red. So for that, let's go up, and over here we were defining the background color. So let's remove that and let's come down again. Now over here where we are giving it a class name, after that we can give this background color. So toast.style.background color bg. Now let's call this message. This is a toast message, and the second parameter, let's give it color. Let's not give it any color. So only pass one parameter. So this should display the toast in the red color because that's the default color that we have associated with the toast messages. So now as you can see, we have this one in the red. Now let's call this again, show toast. This is a toast message, and this time provide a color green. Now as you can see, we are seeing the toast message in green color. So that logic is also sorted out. Next we have to work with associating or linking these toast messages with the network connectivity. So for that we are going to utilize one of the objects which are made available to us by the browser, and one of them is called navigator. So navigator is basically an object associated with the window object. That navigator class gives us information related to the device and the browser. One of its properties informs us whether we are currently online or offline. So we are going to define a function called check connectivity. It doesn't take any parameters. So over here, if not navigator dot online, so basically we are checking, are we offline? So if we are not online, in that case we want certain logic to execute, else we want another piece of logic to be executed. So this is again, a navigator is one of the objects made available to us by the browser itself, and one of its properties is called online. This will inform us whether we are currently connected to a network or not. So if we are not online, we want a toast message to appear which says you are offline, please check your internet connection. If we are on the other hand online, in that case we want to get the toast message, you are back online, and let's give this one the second parameter with the color green, because this is a positive connotation message, so we want it to display in green. For the first one we are not passing second parameter because that will give it the background color of red. Okay, so this is just a function. Now we have to make sure that this function is called at some point. So for that we are going to utilize two of the Windows events. One of them is called online and other is offline. So the window object will trigger this event offline when we lose the connectivity, and it will trigger the event online when the connectivity is re-established. So these two events keep triggering behind the scenes. We just have to capture those events and associate event listener which will call this function. So this is what we are going to do. Window.add event listener. So the first one is offline. If this event is triggered, we want this function to be called check connectivity. Likewise, window.add event listener. The next event is online. So when we are again back online, in that case we again want to call this function check connectivity. So if we suddenly go offline, then this function will be called, which will come to know because of this line that we are not online. So this first toast message will execute. Likewise, when we again come online, this event will be triggered, which will again call this function, and this time since we will be online, so we will be moved to this else part where we will display this you are offline again message. Okay, now it's time to test it out completely. So we have to go to the network tab, and over here you can see no throttling and this triangle. If you click on it, this option offline, we have to click on it. So this will temporarily, at least as far as this page is concerned, it will disrupt the connectivity to our network. So we got offline and we got this message you are offline. Now we have to bring it again online, so we have to again connect it with the network. So let's click on this triangle and select this no throttling. It says you are back online. One more time, click offline and it says you are offline, please check your internet connection. And again connect it and you are back online. So and it disappeared. So this is how toast messages appear. They are kind of notifications which doesn't disrupt the normal flow of the web application. They appear for a while and then after a certain time they disappear on their own. And while doing that, they provide us information which enhances the user experience. This is one of the use cases of the toast messages. The other can be informing the user of successful actions such as message sent successfully, displaying system or application alerts such as low battery or network connection lost. We did this one, network connection lost. Providing updates or notifications, new message received, or a reminder meeting in 10 minutes, confirming user action, item added to the cart. So these are some of the applications of the toast messages. You can add toast messages according to the needs of your application. And that's a wrap on our tutorial. Congratulations on successfully creating offline and online toast messages using JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and found it valuable. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your fellow developers. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more exciting tutorials and coding tips. As always, I appreciate your support and feedback. If you have any questions or need assistance, feel free to leave a comment below and I'll be more than happy to help you out. Bye bye.